love that. I love that.
I love
gets
you.
in me and all through stories.
I know.
So, let's go.
So hustle. So I spent my 20s in a touring band. And we had carved out a little circuit for ourselves between Jacksonville and New Orleans along the Gulf Coast. And we'd hit all these little towns. And there was this one town called Mossy Head, Florida. And there's not a whole lot there. They are not it's not a bustling metropolis. They had one annual event, this like hippie festival called the Mossy Headz Music and Art Festival. And in 2008, we were invited to come headline this festival, our band. And headlining means two things. One, your name is in the largest font on the poster. And two, you play last on Saturday night. That's what everyone was there to see. So we get there, we're having a great time. The festival grounds are real interesting. There's this hill, like this house on a hill, and then down in this like plateau, this beautiful field, and that's where the stage is and the vendors and stuff. And then on down the hill, trees and camping, and then at the base of the property, along the whole perimeter, is this beautiful river. So Saturday, we're out there, we're having a good time. You know, there's like veggie burritos and glass blowing, and you know, anything you need to get your mind right. And we're having a great time, and one of the festival producers comes to us, and they're like, "Hey, so there's a storm northwest of the festival, northwest of Mossy Head. It's not going to hit us, but we're downriver of them, and there's a flood advisory." I'm like, whatever. We're in our 20s. I do not care. Pass the wine. And so, having a good time. A few hours later, we hear murmurs that there's some people that are down by the river that are camping, and they have to move their tents out because the river has, breached its banks. And again, we just keep going on. A few hours later, a little rain comes in, a little drizzle. And as everyone knows, hippies are undeterred by rain. They just keep going. Like, they're not concerned about that at all. It doesn't slow them down. So, the rain keeps raining, and the rock keeps rolling, and the river keeps rising. And by about 11 p.m., the band before us is playing, and the water has risen from the river 30 feet to the top of this hill. Everyone's tent is underwater, all the picnic tables are underwater, everything is underwater, and all these hippies have just sort of like been pushed out of the flood basin into the main festival area. So no big deal, I suppose, and we didn't expect it to get any higher. And it's at this point that somebody should have said, what's our evacuation plan if we need to get 1,000 hippies out of this valley through a one-lane road with like 300 cars. But again, 20s. It literally didn't occur to a single person. So the band before us finishes their set and wisely packs up and drives away in their van, as we all should have been doing. But as we're all out there, we're waiting to go on. Headlining act, after all. It's about midnight. All of a sudden, the water crests over this plateau, and the dance floor, as it were, it's real spongy. And you can see the water rising at this point. I mean, we are in a full-on flash flood. And so, some quick decisions need to be made, because the stage manager, Joey, he's like, all of the electrical for the stage is under the stage, which is now underwater. And we are all standing in this potentially electrified tidal wave.
Yeah.
And so we, the Joey, without thinking, just dives into the water, dives under the stage, pitch black, cold water, digging around looking for the electrical so he can unplug it. And don't ask me why. No one thought to go up to the house and just unplug it there, but 20s. And so he goes down over and over again, and eventually he does. He comes up and he's like, yes, we got it. We're all gonna live. So great news for us. Meanwhile, we've all completely forgotten why we're there, and I was, the producer of the festival comes up to me, he's like, are you guys still down to play? I was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, of course. And he's like, we can move you up to the house on the top of the hill. You guys can just play on the porch up there. I was like, that's great. Are we still getting paid? He's like, yeah. It's like, then that's great. Let's do this. And so we move all of our stuff up to the porch, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning now, something like that. And we launch into it. We launch into our set, and everything's great. We're kicking ass. The river has now reached its apex. It's about here, and an entire festival of people is just standing waist deep in water, just slowly rocking out maybe a little bit. And so as the river reaches his apex, that's as high as it's going to get. The hippies were also as high as they were going to get. And everyone had a great time. But then, it's like 2 in the morning now, and we're done with our set. We played all the songs we knew how to play. And Sean comes up, he's like, all right, so these guys have nowhere to go. And as soon as you guys get off the stage, it's just water down there. There's nowhere to go. So what do you think? Do you want to just keep playing? And we're like, okay, sure, why not? And so we all take a round of shots, and we launch into it, and we just played and played and played. And we were just improvising. We were just making up songs of jazz and funk and rock and blues and rap and every other kind of music that exists, and anything. And as we played for hours and hours, eventually the sky gets light, and the sun comes over the trees, and the water recedes, and reveals just a muddy hellscape of tents and picnic tables and Subaru Outbacks. And we were no worse for wear. We walk off the stage and we pack up, and Sean comes to us. He's like, hey man, that was amazing. You broke a bunch of records just now. That was the latest I've ever seen anyone go on at Mossy Headz. That was by far the longest set anyone's ever played, clocking in at around 6 hours. And I've never actually watched a band play as the sun rose. Good hustle, boys.